All right. This is not the first time there has been a clash between the Islamic State of West Africa province and the Boko Haram terrorists. And each time this happens, it results in loss of lives and destruction of property. This is the story again in Borno State, where dozens of lives have been lost after a fight ensued between the two groups, with others fleeing for safety. Now, despite efforts by the government to tackle prevailing security challenges, the situation remains a major cause for concern. Joining us via Zoom to discuss these issues is the President, CEO, Security Watch Africa Initiatives, Patrick Agbambu. Good morning, Patrick. Thanks for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Thank you very much.
Now, like we rightly pointed out, this is not the first time these groups are clashing. And if you would recall, in 2021, Abubakar Shekau, the leader of Boko Haram, was reportedly killed in one of these clashes. And I'm wondering what your impressions are of these clashes that we are seeing with these two groups.
Yeah, the clashes, I would say, as a Nigerian, as somebody who loves peace, it's welcome, really, because it is putting them in disarray. But it's a result of the pressure that is being put on them, mounted, because as we speak, there are aggressive onslaughts against the various camps of these terrorists, and it has deprived them of comfort or free movement to cause mayhem. Now, with the rainy season, unlike in the past, during rainy season, they gain more ground. But this rainy season, the Nigerian troop seems to have overcome their earlier handicaps and taken the fight to them. So that has created a lot of discomfort. Funding has become their problem. Resources is no longer there in terms of the equipment to fight. And so it's created problems really for them. So they are fighting for survival within themselves, since there's no other way best to do it, of who takes over the territories that they are holding on to. So that is the major problem now. And we hope that with the final onslaughts going on now, with the desert sanity and all the move being made, that there will be final solution.
Can you please tell us a little bit about the background to all of these attacks or sorties by the government against Boko Haram and ISWAP? Because we have seen that there has been a lot of progress done, but we have seen just in the past month a spirited effort. Why did it take this long?
Yeah, why it took this long? It's terrorism is not like any other conventional warfare. That it's more of a guerrilla warfare, and a lot of issues, a lot of things are put in place. You are fighting somebody you do not know, and so it creates a lot of problem for the government troops. But more than that is that now the platforms that the armed forces needed for this are now available for them. You know that we're having problems as a nation getting enough equipment to execute this war. Some of the equipment that are now available, which they are using, which I can call the game changers, have been ordered for some years now, only for them to be arriving now. And so that has been the, maybe so to say, advantage that these insurgents and terrorists were having. Then secondly, I think the people now are beginning to understand that the security forces are not really against the people, they are against the enemies of the society. And so they are beginning to support. In the past, where parents used to donate their wards and their children to fight on the side of the terrorists, is no longer existing now. So the communities are beginning to understand that they really need to support these security forces to win this fight. Then secondly, more intelligence is now being gathered because the multinational joint task force have actually up its game at the areas of the Chad bases, the islands hitherto that is known as the Tumbus, that were hitherto the sanctuary for these people, are now being attacked on daily basis. As we speak, currently more than 79,000 of these terrorists and their family members have surrendered, and that really has helped to tell those that are still thinking whether we should come out or not, that I think they should come out now, and it's helping the fight much, much better.
In this particular or this latest ISWAP Boko Haram clash, there were said to be a number of children and women in the Boko Haram side when they were reported to have come in onto the territory of ISWAP within the Bama local government area. Patrick, what do you make of this scenario? What are your insights now regarding this? Are they part of the Boko Haram army, or could they just be there unwillingly?
Yeah, in the past, when these terrorists attack communities, they take a lot of able-bodied men and women hostages. Some of these people are taken to their camps to serve as slaves, so to say. They work in their farms, they provide comfort for them, quote and unquote. And some of the women were married, whether you are young or old. We are being given to a particular commander to bear children, and so they have these children that come out. And of course, when a child comes out and is growing and he sees his father in a trade he is doing, sometimes these children are made to learn the trade, so to say. And so some of these children were unwillingly made to be on the side of these terrorists, with not knowing the implications of what they are doing. And so, but now with these new openings, because the way the armed forces are really treating and receiving these surrendered terrorists has given hope to those people that are still in the camp that, oh, after all, these people are not just going to kill us when we come out. So they let us come out. Some initially sent their children to let us see how they will receive them. Then when they noticed that their children were treated without any problem, and in fact, the troops provided them means of communication to reach out to their people in the camps to tell them, we're having good time here, you can come out. And that has encouraged many of them to come out. So majority of those women and children, the young people you saw, most of them, I would say, are so to say, innocent because they were conscripted or they were made to be part of it. But what is going on now is that there is a very strong debriefing by the military forces and the various agencies to actually sieve from them those who are active participants and those who are there because circumstances brought them there. And so at the end of the day, they will not be handled in their various levels based on their involvement.
Right. Now, speaking about surrendering, we hear that one of Boko Haram's top executioners surrendered in this case. And you also spoke about major debriefing going on, especially with those who have surrendered. But is that enough in itself to addressing this matter? Because over time, a lot of concerns have been raised with how we handle these issues, holding them to account for the number of lives that have been lost thus far.
Yeah, no, you are right there, because that is the only way for lasting peace. We are not just talking about winning the war now. We need to be able to have peace at the end of this, so that not 5, 10 years or 20 years later, we'll start having another insurgency terrorist attack because of indoctrination or because of perception or ideology. And so what I know that is being done is that there is a strong DDR. There is the demobilization and reintegration, reconstruction, de-radicalization that is going on. in trying to make sure that those who, based on your level of involvement, are given various treatment. Those who are active participants will actually face the law and they will face the charges against them. But those who their involvement is not as serious as it is will go through a lot of rehabilitation and be reintegrated into the communities. This will be a way to encourage. Now, there is the move to set up a Truth and Reconciliation Committee. The theater commander of the Joint Task Force Operation, the Northeast Operation, Hadinkai, had pushed that several times to the government, and the government have accepted it that there's need for truth and reconciliation so that we can now sit together. Let us look at our wounds. Let us see how we can accept, because most of these people are their sons and daughters, and they are involved, their fathers. Some people were made to kill their parents, just to be recognized as a strong terrorist, as a commander. But now, how will their siblings accept them? How will the communities take them? Some people have committed a lot of atrocities. So there is need for a very sincere Truth and Reconciliation Committee to be organized and coordinated by various agencies so that this can really help to heal the wounds, and that should be done as quickly as possible.
You made mention of the young ones who are corralled into these forces without even having any concept of who the enemy is and so on. I remember a quote from the poet Yeats, who said, "Those who I fight, I do not hate. Those who I guard, I do not love." And they just go there and fight. Now, how do you distinguish? Where would they distinguish those who have this kind of tabula rasa mind from those who are actually devoted to the cause in terms of eventually disinfecting them of their devotion to the Boko Haram cause?
Yes, my knowledge of the inside workings in this whole thing has made me to understand that a lot of experts are there in both from the defense headquarters, the various armed forces, and the United Nations agencies, and that are helping to debrief these people that have surrendered, really, and that is helping to find out the different level of involvement. And one of the things that is also helping to actually find out the level of involvement of individuals is because they tell themselves the truth. A group, I have witnessed where a group that came out were being debriefed, and this one did this, this one did that, this is what I did. There's sincerity in most of the things, and everybody knows everybody, really, because somehow they were all from the same communities. Well, these are not total strangers to themselves. So everybody's involvement is being known. Even when the community leaders see them, they know that this person did this. So it's quite easier, it's made easier, because if they were strangers, then it would have been more difficult. But now, with the workings that is being done by the various security agencies, and the reception they are being provided, and it's making it quite easier to be able to find out each person's involvement.
But so you think the Boko Haram insurgency is gradually fizzling out in terms of scope and intensity? Well, this has been the stance that many people, not just the military, has been, circulating. Even the Northeastern Governors Forum is also of this opinion. Beyond people calling it propaganda, what do you, make of the war?
Yeah, with all sincerity, I will tell you that I think we're closer to the end than before, because from what I'm seeing, I've been there several times. I've been to some of the areas some that were being held by the terrorists that are now being taken over. Even one of the joy I have recently is when the Cross Tower, there's an area called Cross Tower, which is very close to Baka. And in fact, as we even speak now, Baka it's almost been totally recovered back totally. All the islands within the Lake Chad and all the houses are now being taken because the multinational joint task force are taking this fight every day to them. As we speak, on daily basis, the security forces led by the Operation Hiding Kai and the multinational joint task force are carrying close to about 3,000 patrols every day as a way to encourage most of these communities, people to go back. And now, I'm sure you are aware that the state government is carrying out a massive returning of the people, IDPs, to their communities. And this is a sign that, yes, peace really returning to these areas. To be frank, I believe that we Nigerians have not been very fair to the armed forces in terms of telling what is really happening in that area, because the enormous work they have done is quite encouraging with what I've seen. I have visited there several times, right from the beginning, 12 years ago till now, and I feel more safer each time we go there. And it's because some people are doing their work. If what they are using now, the equipment they have now and the equipment they have now, they have had it earlier, maybe it would not have extended till this hour. But again, to this time. But again, you know that terrorism all over the world, it takes a long time. Let's look at records. Let's look at history. Various countries that are facing fights against terrorism, we know how it takes. But Nigeria should be ranked and commended to have done excellently well in trying to check this. But we want to say that they must put in more efforts, because until the last ground in Nigeria is recovered back and people return back to their homes, there's still much to be done.
Indeed, there's still much to be done, and we also commend the effort of the armed forces. But then again, there is concern being raised by the people in Borno State. They are afraid that perhaps there might be reprisals, attacks from either of these groups. What should be done now to protect these people and ensure that we don't see more lives being lost?
Yes, let me tell you that one of the things I know as we speak now is that constantly the troops, both from the multinational joint task force, which though headquartered in Jamina in Chad, but with various sectors in Nigeria, Niger, and Chad and Cameroon, and are making incursions to ensure that those territories, those hitherto impregnable areas are being well protected and ensure that these people do not have free way to commit crime. And when also the multinational, the internally, which is the Operation Hiding Kai, with their various, the three sectors that is operating, they are carrying out daily patrols to make sure that these people do not have space. Again, one of the agencies that has played a very strong role in all this is the Air Force. The Nigerian Air Force have really worked and upped their game because of the new machines, new equipment platforms that have been acquired. Without them, I think we'll have still have a long way to go, because they have been able to neutralize most of the camps and destroy them, for the land forces to be able to harvest what I could say the remnants of these terrorists. So that is what is going on currently. Then secondly, we need to be able to, I think the government and the people need to be able to build more confidence there so that we can return full-fledged civil authority to most of these areas, that have been reclaimed back. I tell you, some of them are very, very free and safe. People are going about doing their farming activities in most of these areas, and the government, state government is doing what they can do to their own ability. And I will urge the federal government to please support in terms of providing facilities. The major problems that are inherent now, it's bad roads. The bad roads in those areas is affecting a lot of people from going back. It's affecting the troops from carrying out these operations. I tell you, most of the areas, the troops today, the armed forces, particularly the Nigerian Army engineers, are the ones fixing roads, building bridges to be able to carry out all these operations. I think the federal government should step in and assist to ensure that this thing is being done. Then, what created these problems initially, and which is what most of the people, the public, they are crying about, is lack of government presence in all these areas. There have been no government support in terms of amenities and facilities. And so these are what the people are crying about. So for them to go back to their homes are safe, their lands are safe, but they need to get livelihood to get back to what it used to be. And that is the only way it can be done. In terms of reprisal, I don't think there's a space, there's a way for these people to carry out any reprisal in any of these communities for now, because I think the armed forces have really found out the magic wand, because in those days, rainy season was the strongest point of these terrorists, but now the rainy season seems to be their weakest point because they never expected what they're getting now.
Now, you were talking about the presence of government. What of the Northeast Development Commission that was created? They're supposed to take care of rehabilitation of that part of the country. And then the second part of my question is that, we've seen, other than the Northeast, a lot of activities going on in other parts of the North. Just a couple of days ago, there was a lot of sortie in Zamfara, where even the kingpin there, Bello Torji, was supposed to be on the run and escape death. The part of the question I want you to address is access to farms. Are people going to farms freely now as they used to do, since we have stories that they had to, pay fines in order to go to farms and back, and that's affecting the cost of food and the cost of business generally.
No, let me take from the deep part of your question. Access to farm, I can tell you that I have witnessed just about 2 weeks ago, the last time we visited some of the communities, the farming communities in Borno State. Far up northern Borno, activities were bustling because the troops are providing security. They devised a strategic, a tactical means of ensuring that there are no incursions from these terrorists among the group of farmers, and so they work it out that farmers foresaw droves, thousands of persons going into their various farms and returning back to some of the hitherto most turbulent areas. They will have escorts to ensure that they don't have any attack what's received from anybody, but more importantly, is to also guide them against IEDs, because when the prevalence of IEDs in those areas, but particularly on the roads, because the roads are terribly bad, and so they tend to plant IEDs on the road, and when these farmers or these people move around without being guarded, they might fall into any of these or step into any of these ones. So the troops have decided to demine most of the areas where the farming activities are taking place, or where the routes that they will take towards their farming. So farming activities have actually is going on strongly now as we speak. I'm sure that the fear of lack of food will not be this time around, unless if flooding affects it. But more than that, everything is back in shape in those areas. Those are remaining very small areas, which
Patrick, we have to wrap it up here now, but we must thank you for your contribution on the show. President, CEO of Security Watch Africa Initiatives, Patrick Agbambu, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.